And good afternoon, Nick's Pinball Chronicles channel. I wanted to talk about a couple of technical and some troubleshooting issues, hopefully to help other people who have the same or similar machine than I do, a WPC 95, or the WPC pre-DCS and DCS. I had another switch matrix issue with my game the other night. And come to realize this is the second time this has happened. And unlike the System 3s, System 9, and System 11 MPUs, which the switches are controlled by transistors, in these particular models, they're controlled by a computer chip. And let me show you what I'm talking about. The switch matrix is a 8-row by 8-column grid of up to 64 switches in these particular games. And I was having an issue with black rows in column 4. And column 4 just happens to be the switches that weren't registering in my game after I was doing maintenance. The 3 pop bumpers, the middle 3 stand-up targets, the left entrance ramp switch, and the upper left ramp switch was not working. And you press the switch and it wasn't registering the game. Come to find out that the 4th column is the middle stand-up top, middle stand-up middle, middle stand-up bottom, left ramp enter, left top left loop, left jet, right jet, center jet. All 8 switches were out in that row. So with some very good help from some guys on Facebook, shout out to Chris Hibbler, you are the man. Look at the back box, and there's an actual easy way to troubleshoot it if you have a switch problem. I'll bring you in a little closer to show you what gets done here. So you have, in this particular WPC, you have your columns, which is your signal coming from the chip and the computer. Little miniature transistors. Don't ask me how they fit them all into that, but so your rows is this, the columns is this plug, which is your signal, and then your rows, which is this plug, which is your return. So the computer knows what switches get activated in the game. Isolated by diodes, of course, so you don't get any feedback, because in a switch matrix on all these games, again, it's a grid, and they daisy chain all the switches, so you don't have to have a couple of hundred wires going to each switch. They kind of break it down into, I believe it's 16 wires with different colors. No, maybe it's more than that. I'm not sure about it, but you have 64 switches, and again, it's in a grid, so I don't know the exact wire count, but it's a lot less. They broke it down for that, so you don't have to have as many wires. You just put it in a grid and daisy chain the switches together, depending on where they are. All different games have different switch locations and different switch identifications. My particular one is Black Rose, so if you go to the switch matrix, you can actually test it. You turn the game on and you go to test mode, because you still have the plug-in for the regular switches that don't have a diode, controlled switches for your test buttons and your volume and all that stuff in the coin door. So you take your column plug and your row plug off the MPU so you can isolate if your short is coming from the playfield or if your short is actually physically on your your board. So you take your row and column off. The most simplest way of doing it is getting an alligator jumper and taking pin 1 from your column, which is the pin to the right, and jumping it to pin 1 of the row. And you should hear in switch edge test on your DMD in your diagnostics, you'll hear one buzz go off, one bunk, bunk, and then you could see it on the DMD. It actually lays out in the diagnostics. It's pretty nice. They lay out a square grid, and you can actually see when the switch gets activated and deactivated, which is nice. So you jump each of the pins from pin 1 of the columns and see if you have multiple switches activating or none activating, or a series of ones that are grounded out, which is what my first problem was a couple months ago. So I was doing some maintenance. I don't know how it happened. I usually have the power completely off my game when I'm doing maintenance, but it happened. Sometimes a solenoid underneath the playfield or a lamp socket gets shorted out to a switch in the playfield, and it'll blow this ULN 2803 transistor chip. And again, they're fairly inexpensive. I think I got 10 of them on Amazon for like $5. So I replaced that last night. Switch problem went away. So if any of the other Bally Williams owners that have like if you activate one switch or you get a switch warning, like multiple switches are grounded out on the same row or same column. It doesn't even have to be, mine happened in the same row the first time. This time when it happened, I lost an entire column 4. But yeah, all you had to do is, they purposely socket that chip so you can remove it and put a new one in. I guess it's like it's a fuse, believe it or not, because you accidentally hit high voltage to one of those switch inputs, and it'll cook that chip. And the reason why it's socketed is because it's just easy to pop one out and then pop a new one in. It's only a 16 pin, so it's fairly easy to diagnose and repair, and fairly inexpensive. So anybody else who has a similar issue with a problem with the switch matrix, you'll be able to see it. I'll demonstrate it. I'll show you. Put the back glass back on. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. So you switch the game on. And down here, it'll boot. You go to the coin door. And you go into diagnostics. Go to tests. Switch edges. Here's your grid, your 8x8 grid. These are your dedicated switches on the outside, and these are your also dedicated your end of stroke switches that aren't part of the regular switch matrix, that don't have diodes on them. So when you activate a switch, you'll hear it. These switches are normally closed or open on my game, and then switch 25 normally is a switch that's not used and normally closed for the test feature. But when you, like I got the coin door button pressed right now, it'll actually tell you what switch is activated. It'll tell you the last switch that's hit. And also, which is very handy for troubleshooting, is it'll actually tell you the wire, what color wire, and I believe if you hit the start button, it'll give you more information. Yep. last switch in, switch edges. And there's my start button I hit. So if you go to, I don't have any of the other switch because I don't have the cabinet open, so I can't demonstrate any of the other switches. But I should have a coin door here somewhere. Yep, left coin slot, center coin, right coin. Again, those are all dedicated because they're part of the coin door circuit, not part of the regular switch matrix circuit that has diodes. So you can do another test here. If you go out of this, you go to switch levels, and it'll actually I believe it tells you which one is activated and which ones are active right now, because what I have here, that's the one that's always closed. That's switch 25. And then all my trough switches are closed because there's 3 balls in the trough right now. And then there's my coin door closed. That one there is for the treasure ramp. It's actually a switch that's reporting to the computer that ramp is down right now, which it should be. It'll open up during the game. And I'm pushing the start button in right now. There's the start button on the grid. And so it's a pretty neat diagnostic tool to have. It's pretty neat. Then you go to single switch. That's another one. Left coin slot. Obviously, that's this one here. It'll tell you if it's open or closed. And it tells you the wire colors, orange, brown, black, and it'll actually tell you the connector that it goes to, which is another handy thing. And it'll tell you what fuse is on that circuit too, which is pretty cool. It'll tell you the rating, slow blow, fast blow. It's a very cool diagnostic tool in these Ballys. It's pretty awesome. And you get out of that. It's pretty wild. Let me see if I can get it working. There's the fire button. Oh, I actually hit the flipper. So, thanks for watching.